It's your daily dose of Donna, and I am just blown away today. We have such an incredibly mind blowing episode today. It is Wednesday, April 23rd. I hope you're ready. I hope that you are ready for an episode filled with, as I called it, perjury, depositions, subpoenas, snakes. Let's add bullies and liars. On today's hump day episode of Daily Dose of Donna, I don't like to really just like push on the toxicity, but today we're going to have to. I don't mean to do it. They just keep coming at us. They just keep coming at us. I just got a little emotional because I jumped on over from the Karen retrial. As you guys know, I didn't even work out today. That's a big deal because I was obsessed with the Karen retrial. I will give you some really, really big moments from the Karen retrial that happened this morning, including just a very emotional moment that happened just now with John O'Keefe's mother, Peggy, who was on the stand. Oh my God. It's just been wow, wow, wow. In the trial, I became a trial cover YouTuber over here, but I can't help it. And as Emily from Real Houses of OC, she sent me this sweater, Emily Simpson, and it says, "Good morning, friends and haters. Welcome. This is everyone. Get ready to do your sprinkler dance, like Zach Peter. This is your daily dose of Donna." Oh my God. So I guess we don't really have to work out because we can just do the sprinkler during my opening song. That's it. We can just do the sprinkler. Oh, wow, wow, wow. You guys, I don't know what's going on, but there's just some bad news bears people in this world. And a lot of them are on the valley. I don't know how we're going to do this. How are we going to watch the Valley and deal with Jax Taylor? If you don't know who Jax Taylor is, because you're only here for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and all that drama, because we have an update on that, just wait. Just wait and gird your loins. He's going to make you never want to marry. He's going to make you never want to date. He's going to make you never want to, I don't know. He's going to make you, if you're a woman, want to become a lesbian. He gives me, oh God, he's going to make you sneeze. I think I'm allergic to Jax. Gesundheit. Excuse me. Jax Taylor is quite possibly the world's worst. And then comes along Jon Hamm. This story blew me away. This story unearthed by, well, I guess this story has been kind of crawling along, but no one's really picked it up. Except Maureen Callahan for the Daily Mail. And she has a new podcast called The Nerve. I'm going to share it with you because she does not scare to call out Hollywood. And she exposed Jon Hamm for being quite a piece of shit. So we're going to talk all about that. We'll talk about how a witness in the Karen retrial, Kerry Roberts, just basically admitted on the trial stand today that, yeah, I lied in the first trial to the jury. And then let's talk about how Ryan Reynolds, let's start off with that story, how Ryan Reynolds just forgot to talk about his wife. Just kind of skirt, forgets to talk about Blake when he is, talking about over on the stand, I call it the stand because I feel like they're on trial already. Blake Lively, we've talked about her now for months, 5 months almost, right? We've just found out. We're still trying to do the math. Since December 20th, and now it's April 23rd. Is that 4 or 5 months? Someone do the math. Okay, let's do it together. January, February, March. Okay, we're 4 months. We're coming into our 5th month now. 5 months, and going into 5 months, and we have not yet seen anything good come out of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Literally nothing. Only bad news bears. It keeps coming out. But just last week, exactly a week ago, Blake Lively gets that honor, right, to be on the Times 100 list. Everyone's like, what the? How much did they pay to get this honor? But then randomly, Time magazine puts on this event, and guess who's over there doing the conversation about it? Guess who's over there doing it? Ryan Reynolds, not Blake. Why is Time magazine doing some sort of a panel, a summit, as they say, and Blake is not even the one speaking? Why? Ryan Reynolds wasn't honored in this year's Time 100. Why was Blake there? Why wasn't Blake there? Why is Ryan there? Again, this all seems like these little strange tactics to get Blake off of our brain and keep, Ryan front and center. It's all weird. But here's the strange thing. Ryan Reynolds fails to mention Blake Lively at the Time Summit as he swerves questions about negative headlines. Before we get into that, though, why don't we show you one way where he does talk? I have a clip of it here, and this is actually really fun. You guys know how he eliminated the ability to comment on his Instagram, and so did Blake. You know how they don't have the ability to, everyone says like they limit their comments because they only want positive comments on their Instagram accounts. Well, Ryan Reynolds wasn't able to kind of limit Time magazine's comments, not yet at least. So get this. If you jump on over to this account, the Time magazine account, you can actually comment. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying you can comment on Time magazine's reel where they do interview Ryan Reynolds, and you can let them know how you feel. I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying you can. Let's watch lovely Ryan Reynolds, who actually drives me crazy. I mean, it's actually impossible for me to watch Ryan. Look at his face. I'm sorry. Even just the freeze frame of his face drives me nuts, right? But let's watch this really fast. Let's watch Ryan Reynolds just jabber on about Deadpool, because that's what we really care about right now in these tough days. And then why don't you can go on over to Time Magazine's Instagram account and just let them know what you think. Let's watch it together.
In one Deadpool and Wolverine question,
Sure,
which is when we spoke about the character before, you mentioned that despite the fact that Deadpool and Wolverine broke a ton of box office records last year, that you think he works best as a supporting character. There are many upcoming Marvel movies that we now know involve X-Men. Are there chances that we will see him as a supporting character?
I do think so. I think he works. I mean, in order for a character that talks like that to work, you have to take everything away from him. So his skin, his face, he's covered in scars, he's bald, he wears the mask out of shame. So I hijacked the first movie. I used the character to tell a story about shame, then a story about family for the second movie, and this one was being about redemption. And I think we nailed redemption because redemption is one of the great American exports. I think it's like when you miss something or someone, but you didn't know you missed them, is a very unique feeling for an audience. I mean, they got a few of those in that, but I can't take that was, the whole movie was an allegory for Disney buying Fox. It was like I pitched 18 different movies to them. I mean, I pitched like one that was stop motion, for Christ's sakes. One that was a Sundance movie, like one shot, the whole thing in a car. But where no action, nothing. Where we landed was this, and I was really grateful to get to tell a story, to see people like the characters like Blade, with Wesley Snipes, who's a guy that should have a third act in this moment. Like, this guy's a fucking huge movie star. Sorry.
Sorry.
God, I thought my kids were in the room, so I swear.
He didn't just do that. He did not. He's such an idiot. He didn't just reference the fact that his kids were in the room and he can't say a bad word. He didn't just do that. Oh, what a dumbass. Oh, sorry. Thought my kids were in the room. You know, the one that I just made say sucking DICK 700 times on set. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with this guy? He's the biggest hypocrite.
Oh, and that feeling and that gasp that comes out of people when he crosses the frame in the movie is just like, I don't know, it's a feeling that I just want more of, and I think I'd be able to do that as a supporting actor. I'm writing a little something right now that is
No, please don't.
I don't know, it's an ensemble, but it's you know, I like that he's isolated. If Deadpool becomes an Avenger or an X-Men, we're at the end.
I'm writing something. it's an ensemble. It's called Justin Baldoni and Brian Friedman. It's called Wayfarer Productions. It's really cute. It's not based on anything.
It's his wish fulfillment, and you can't give him that.
Why, again, let me ask you. I love how the comments didn't show up here, but the comments are there.
I'm going to sneak in
Hold
one.
on, let me try to find the comments. I know that you can find the comments if I just put the actual reel here. Hold on. There, here are the comments. So as you can see, a lot of negative comments. I wonder if will his wife have that same redemption arc? Here's an idea for the plot of Deadpool. Create a fake lawsuit and publish it to the New York Times and watch your wife's career go up in smoke. Cringe like his wife. Ew. Okay, it has 288 likes for Time Magazine. And one of them is that Dr. Leslie, which is hysterical, hysterical, hysterical. Now, why again is Ryan Reynolds being interviewed for Time Magazine's 100 when he's not even on the list? Again, this is a PR move. He's not on the list. His wife is on the list. He has not been on the list since 2017, I believe. Why is he there? How did he get there? There are so many other people that can be there. Now, Ryan Reynolds was asked many questions on this panel. Again, why? But he does not mention Blake Lively at all. One question that he was asked in this panel about negative press coverage. Now, the best part about this, and I still want to talk about this fact, that his production company is called Maximum Effort. Just remember this. His production company is called Maximum Effort. His wife's production company that he also runs is called B for Effort. If Lance, my husband, said, hey, I'm going to start a company and it's going to be called Balls to the Wall, Best in the West. And then you should start a company that's going to be called Almost There. I would probably be like, that sucks. Or like, let's start a company where I am amazing. And you should start a company, Donna, where it is, you tried, or like, I tried my best. You know, it sucks. Like, what in the world does he think of this girl? So it says the snub comes amid a difficult year. The snub. What is that? Ryan was asked about not being able to always control what the internet and headlines say about him. The interviewer probed. So how has what media attention impacted your brand and your businesses? And of course, he answers something funny because he's so funny, guys. He's so funny. He said, a rambled response is what they say. Tina Fey says, oh, I love how he brings up Tina. Poor Tina. She's like, damn, I caught a stray. She's like, I didn't ask to be brought in this group chat. She says, if you're feeling good about yourself, he says, if you're feeling good about yourself, just go online. Hardy, har, har, har. Honestly, I give a lot of talks to students about storytelling and about how you can do it in different pockets. You can do it in unexpected ways, he says. My company's North Stars are bringing people together in smart, fun, and unexpected ways. The last one I did, I mentioned the greatest superpower I ever had in my life. He then proceeded to talk about how he tried on many different personalities when he was in his 20s. Yes, he tried on the arson personality. He tried on the bully personality. He tried on the controlling boyfriend and husband personality. He tried on the asshole personality. He tried on he tried on all of the different personalities. He says, I'm not saying about just my career or anything. It was just about knowing who I am. When you're young and you're in your 20s, you're trying on personalities like shirts. I mean, you're literally, I'll be this person, I'm that person. Then one day you're stolen from 1,000. So you're a genius, not a beef. What? And you've pulled all these different references and these feelings and you know yourself. He continued, I read an article about myself that was just like, let's have a messy stabbing death here with this guy. And then I read another article that was so lauding. It's just like, this guy should come the prize for blah, 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 blah. What the hell is he talking about? He actually should be studied. He should be studied. And my reaction to both was sort of disconnected, dispassionate, sort of observation on devaluation. And I thought, whoa, that's weird because both are stories that aren't true. Would you guys be scared if you woke up one morning and this guy was just staring at you in bed? Serious question. Hey, Blake, you want to make pancakes? And it really clicked in every part of it. He says, and as someone, I skipped rehab in his 20s and decided to go to conflict resolution workshops in Santa Fe, which I both recommend and I do not recommend unless you love turquoise jewelry. Wait, what the fuck is he talking about? You guys, this is not a joke. It feels like we are on some mushroom trip. What is he talking about? Hold on. I skipped rehab in his 20s and decided to go to conflict resolution workshops in Santa Fe, which I both recommend and I do not recommend unless you love turquoise jewelry. Is he serious? Is that a joke or is that real? Is that just like a fake thing again? We need Else Rich to fact check. Else Rich. But yeah, I went. And that also helped with a lot of things too. So those are two weird tools that I didn't expect to advance things in other areas. What? Someone Google that conflict resolution workshop in Santa Fe immediately. Tiffany, is he making fun of Native Americans? Probably. He probably is. Oh my God. On Tuesday, Blake praised those who uplift others to live boldly boldly and yummy after being named one of Time's 100 most influential people of the year. Of course, we know that she was named. It's still not mentioning why she is not at this event, but he is. So it's talking about how she is talking about it. Okay. Why is he there? Can someone answer this? Why was Ryan Reynolds at this summit? Let's go to Time Magazine's stories. Do they talk about this? No, of course not. Of course not. How about Ryan Reynolds' stories? Let's see. Of course, he's going to probably talk about like pandas or some freaking weird ass turquoise jewelry. Let's see if he covers this in his stories. God, he's triggering. This whole episode should just be called People That Trigger You. Let's see if he talks about it. No, we've just got a reel about Wrexham. Just overlooked it. And then the last thing he posted, of course, is a joke. Oh, this is a week ago for Rob McElhenney. And then, of course, a Mint Mobile ad. Dude, 5 hours ago, a Mint Mobile ad. If I see these Mint Mobile ads anymore, I mean, they are coming in my dreams. Do you guys get these stupid Mint Mobile ads in your dreams? Like now he's putting these ads on his main feed on Instagram. Are we getting desperado? What's happening? Why are these on his main feed? Van City Reynolds is putting Mint Mobile. Can premium wireless truly be this affordable? On his feed. How desperate are we getting? Something is amiss. It's distraction. I will never, ever use Mint Mobile. And the truth is, who is? Who is using Mint Mobile? If you are someone who is using Mint Mobile, please come forward. We can keep you anonymous. I want to know truly how the service is. I would like to know. Blake Lively is still very silent since Taylor Swift has announced that she is going to get, or since the announcement has been that she is going to get deposed. I guarantee you, or subpoenaed and then eventually deposed. I guarantee you she is so freaking out. I mean, to start this can of worms. To see what I'm watching this morning on the live trial of Karen Reed, to know what can happen when your celebrity friends now have to be called to the stand and speak to attorneys. Of course, the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds trial, Justin Baldoni trial will not be live televised, is devastating for us as viewers, but it's unreal. And it's going to be so eye-opening to all of us that are just dying to know what's really going on. The lies that will be exposed, the honest shit that will be exposed, the inner workings of everything. Taylor is probably so furious that she was brought into this. And for what? And for what? For what? Now, if you want to get more detailed about the SHAM lawsuit and how many times this really happens, once again, I'm going to shout out Cassidy here on YouTube. She does a great video about how many times this has happened before, how many times these SHAM lawsuits have really gone through, and how many times people have sued DOSE. They have happened. I'm not going to get deep into that right now today, but I can guarantee you right now, it's really, really, it's shady. It's still shady. And whether or not you agree with it or not. Now, one thing I did notice, and I got really, again, drink every time you hear the word triggered. One thing that I got really triggered yesterday by is Threads. Threads is the app that you go to if you want your blood pressure to rise and you want to get that surge of anger, if you want to start punching pillows. Because something about Threads, I don't know if it's the algorithm of Threads, but something about Threads shows you content that makes you angry. I don't know what it is, because I don't get that feeling on Twitter. I don't get that feeling on Instagram. I don't even get that feeling on TikTok. I definitely don't get that feeling, but on YouTube, I don't get that feeling. Threads, it's like they show you content that makes you angry. They show you very, very contradictory content to how you actually feel. I don't get it. It's the opposite of what you want in an algorithm. Like, I get that you shouldn't only get your echo chamber content. But yesterday I did go on Threads and I saw very, very, very pro Blake content. There's an attorney, and no, I'm not going to talk only about MJ. I know that you guys know more with MJ over there. I've spoken about her because she's an attorney who really, really stands for Blake Lively. But there's an attorney that stands for Blake Lively as well. I'll share her with you. Her name is Legal Miga on Threads. And this is the first thing I saw yesterday. Tell me, am I being insane to be like, wait, what? How is this even the same? She says this: if you're okay with Friedman's media use, then you should also be okay with Lively's attorney's subpoena use. Okay, thanks, bye. What? I was like, oh, don't engage, Donna. Don't engage. Donna, don't engage. Walk away from this. And I didn't. I was so proud of myself, you guys. I tapped myself on the back. I said, you're growing. This is growth. Zach and I always send each other text messages like this, you guys. We send each other text messages. We're growing. We're not engaging with the haters. I don't get this at all. I don't understand this argument. And I'm not an attorney. She's an attorney. So I can't really engage from an attorney's perspective. I can only engage from just a layman's perspective. But I don't understand this argument at all. If you're okay with Brian Friedman's media use, by that I mean what? The text messages? Showing the videos? Creating the website? That I don't get. Or is it just the fact that he's talking to the media? What are we talking about specifically? What is the media use? That I don't understand. If you're okay with Brian Friedman's media use, then you should also be okay with Blake Lively's attorney's subpoena use. So you're saying that him using the media is so shady that it's okay that she used the subpoena in a really shady way. I'm sorry, I cannot equate those two things in any way. Please tell me am I crazy to see that this is, oh, Molly's here. She goes, love to see the growth. Not responding is always the ultimate move. She is my PR crisis manager. Molly Dare, she's not paid, but she is my PR. Well, she's paid in text messages and drinks. But yes, this is what drives me mad when I see this kind of stuff. It does feel a little bit like I was gaslit. So and look at the comments. Yes. Clap, clap, clap. I'm convinced that the comments are either people that just are like me that see it and don't want to engage, or she's just blocked everyone that doesn't agree with her. I just don't get it. I cannot understand these kind of attempts at just normalizing shady lawyering and shady court behavior, shady judicial behavior. I pay with tequila. Speaking of tequila, Dosers Live. Have you guys put your name on the tickets? Put your name on the website, Dosers Live. Go to dailydosepod.com/doserslive. We will be releasing the first round of tickets on May 1st. That is almost 1 week away. Molly will be there. Zach will be there. So many fun people will be there, you guys. It's here in Los Angeles. I am so excited. We will have real life live hangs. We will have drinks, margaritas, Mexican food. We will be eating all the fun, yummy. We will be dancing. We will be drinking. We will have a live show. It will be so much fun. Nancy, you have nothing to worry about. I'll keep you safe. I'll keep you safe. Okay. I promise you, Nancy. You will come and stay with me. Okay. You're going to stay in my house. Come on over to Dosers Live, dailydosepod.com/doserslive. And while I'm here, I want to remind you guys that this week's show is brought to you by some of my favorite products like Hero Bread. I mentioned this the other day, Hero Bread, they sent me a huge box of their best breads. And if you're like me and you want to be able to eat bread, but not eat all the carbs, you're going to love Hero Bread because this is high protein and low carb and high fiber. And when I tell you what that fiber does, if you know what I mean, right? It makes you regular, okay? It tastes good. My kids like it. My husband likes it, which is very important. And it is low carb and high protein. Okay, they have tortillas, they have sliced bread, they have bagels, and they have Hawaiian rolls. They have croissants, even cheddar biscuits, all of it. You'll never know it's low net carb and high fiber bread from the texture. Soft, fluffy. You can do Taco Tuesday, no compromises, just flavor. And Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. So go to hero.co and use code DAILYDOSE at the checkout. That's DAILYDOSE at HERO.co. Again, 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use code DAILYDOSE. It is such a good brand, you guys. This is the picture of what they sent me. Like I told you, 1 gram of net carb, 0 grams of net carbs. And I can't really make this bigger, but like this little tiny Hawaiian roll has 4 grams of protein, that tiny little, and 60 calories. And then a whole slice here has like 8 grams of protein. A whole tortilla had 19 grams of protein. Like it's not normal. It will make you skinny. It will make you feel good. It will make you regular. It's the bomb, okay? It's the bomb. Nina says, I hope no one will be relegated to the basement at Dosers Live. No basements. I don't even think we have basements here in Los Angeles, so you will not be in the basement, okay? Maybe the attic, but not the basement. We'll keep you high, not low. You know what I mean? So make sure to be here. You guys, we have such good stories coming on up, and I need to tell you all about what's going on. Like, just you wait. We need to talk about this Karen Reed trial. I'm going to show you a couple moments that are going to blow your mind. And it's going to be really interesting for me to find them live for you because the trial is happening right now. But as you know, yesterday, and for those of you that are not following the trial, I am putting together, like I'm researching. I'm doing so much work for you guys on the side. I am, Ray is going to keep the basement safe. Right, Ray? You're going to be my security guard in the basement. I'm sorry. Okay, Ray. Molly says we'll need an intimacy coordinator if you bring out that big mic again. Yes. Oh, I'll always bring out the big mic for you, Molly. Okay, so we are going to talk about what's happening in the Karen Reed trial. Now, yesterday I covered it very briefly, but yesterday were the opening statements. I'm putting together a crash course episode. By the end of the weekend, you'll have a crash course episode because this trial is going to last for the next like 4 to 6 weeks. There are some really, really interesting episodes coming up. Weeks coming up because of the witnesses. Oh, Elizabeth, this is really interesting. I'm going to have to drill him on this. Ask 2 lawyers or drill them on this. Did they talk about it on Zach's show this morning? Asked 2 lawyers justify Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' shady subpoena. I'm sure they got a lot of shit for that, huh? I want to know what lawyer what he thinks, Peter, about that shady subpoena. I'm going to ask him to come back on my show and talk about it. Okay. Why can't I get that comment off? Oh, okay, there it is. So let's talk about the Karen Reed trial. Yesterday was the opening statements. They were phenomenal. Not Brennan, not the prosecutors. I will never say he's phenomenal, but I will say Alan Jackson, theater, like a TV show, phenomenal, like scripted perfection. I just like Alan Jackson a lot. Now, what happens when the opening statements ended, where they started calling witnesses? The first witness they called was Nuttall. Swear that's his name. 28-year-old EMT guy. I'll explain later on my crash course episode what he does, but he doesn't come off very confident. He's the first responder that saw John O'Keefe's body dead in the snow. Remember the documentary was called A Body in the Snow, the Max documentary that covers this case. He doesn't come off very confident. He has like a little bit of nervous energy. So he's not a very strong, in my opinion, witness for the prosecution. Now this I find more interesting. The second witness is Kerry Roberts. Kerry Roberts is very essential because she was a very close friend of the now deceased John O'Keefe. He is the cop who was found dead in the snow. He was the boyfriend of Karen Reed, who's on trial for murder. And Kerry Roberts was not involved at all in the evening that John O'Keefe was murdered or killed or whatever. She was not involved at all. She wasn't with them or anything, but she's very close with John O'Keefe. And she was friendly enough with Karen Reed that when Karen Reed woke up that next morning and couldn't find John, she calls Kerry, freaking out at 5 a.m. I think according to Kerry Roberts, she tells Kerry Roberts, John is dead, right? John is dead. She's screaming. So Kerry Roberts is like, calm down. She wakes up, calm down, Karen. I'm going to find you. There's a huge blizzard. I'm going to find you. I'm going to drive with you. Stop driving. It's really dangerous. She knows she was drunk the night before. So she's like, you're going to get a DUI. It's still only 5 a.m. You're going to get a DUI. Let me find you and I'll drive and we'll look for him. So she somehow meets up, and I'll get all the details for you guys if you need, but she meets up with Karen Reed and this other woman. Her name is Jen McCabe. Jen McCabe is in the passenger seat. Kerry Roberts, this woman who's on the witness stand today and yesterday, is driving. Jen McCabe is in the passenger seat and Karen Reed is in the back seat, but panicking, freaking out, not buckled in the middle, like in the back seat, but like in the middle, up in front, being like, where is he? Where is he? Screaming. According to Kerry Roberts, she's yelling like, sit back, calm down, stop, because it's blizzard, it's crazy, snow's crazy, and it's dark. It's dark, okay? You can watch, by the way, if you're wanting to watch the live trial, I will show you where you can watch it. You can watch it live on, obviously you guys have to stay here and watch my show, okay? I will never tell you to leave here, but before and after my show, you can watch it on Law and Order, you can watch it on 10 to Life, you can watch it on so many different places, or you can watch it certain commentators like Emily D. Baker, Melanie Little, whatever, they stop in between and they commentate during witness testimony. I don't like doing it that way though. I like watching just plain old witness testimony. The point is that Kerry Roberts first comes up on the stand and is asked questions by the prosecutor. Well, that's all planned, right? Because she's on the prosecutor's side. She wants to nail Karen Reed. She's good friends with John O'Keefe. And she is friendly with Jen McCabe, who is now also, you know, they're all trying to nail Karen Reed. Everyone's against Karen Reed in that town, basically. That's part of this plot to frame Karen Reed. This is my personal opinion. And so this woman, Kerry Roberts, is working alongside this whole crew. And so I believe that when you are not telling the truth, the story changes. Does that make sense? When you are not telling the truth, the story changes. And that's why on the first trial, she said a few things about what was said and how it was said and when it was said. But today, when she was cross-examined by our best friend and resident trial boyfriend, Alan Jackson, the story changed. Now, I'm going to share with you guys the live murder trial of John O'Keefe. I'm going to try really hard to try to find this moment where she gets cross-examined by Alan Jackson. And what's interesting about it is it was really intense. Alan Jackson really went after her.
Before you went into John's house? Was it simply cracked?
Hold on.
By Mr. Lally was what, if anything, did she, Miss Reed, ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard,
Right.
correct?
I misunderstood the
And
question.
you misunderstood that question?
Yes,
What
I
did you
did.
misunderstand about that question?
I didn't know it was that you heard, so I was explaining what happened in the back of the car.
I see. So you just ignored the part, literally, the part of the question where he said, what did you hear her say? That's
I
what your
think the word
testimony
was
is now?
heard, and I didn't hear it. I obviously got the question wrong because I did not hear anybody ask about a Google search.
Well, I know that's what you're saying now. I get that. But when you were asked, what, if anything, did she ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, your immediate answer was, at one point, she asked her to Google hypothermia and how long dash Google hypothermia, end quote. Correct?
Correct?
That was your answer,
Yes,
correct?
to a question I misunderstood.
And that was a false statement, wasn't it?
Technically,
Technically?
yes,
It's like being a
technically.
little bit pregnant, Ms. Roberts.
Okay, so remember, jurors, I said earlier, comments of counsel are not evidence and you're to disregard them. Ask a question.
Thank you, Your Honor. What do you mean technically?
Technically, I was under oath and I did not hear Karen asked Jen to Google it,
And yet under oath.
but I
you-
knew it happened at that
And yet
time.
under oath, you said you did.
Correct.
And that was a lie, correct?
Objection.
Was that a lie? Did you lie?
I did not intentionally,
But you did.
And,
not intentionally.
okay, that's the end of
Understood
this.
the question, Mr. Jackson.
All right, is there any other question or is that it?
I didn't hear what you just said.
I said I misunderstood the question, Mr. Jackson.
That's what you're saying now, correct?
That's what happened.
All right,
Can I ask one more question?
okay.
Oh, she's pissed.
You said at one point she asked her to Google hypothermia and how long. Then you corrected yourself and finished with Google hypothermia. What did you mean by how long? What were you about to say?
I don't recall.
Had someone told you something about a phrase that started with how long?
I don't
Related to
recall.
hypothermia?
I don't recall.
Like, for instance, how long to die in cold?
I don't recall.
Okay. All right, Ms.
Oh my God. And then right here, you guys, this is the best. Listen to what the judge calls Kerry Roberts.
I'm sorry, Ms. Roberts, you're up.
She calls her Miss McCabe because she's Miss McCabe's mouthpiece. Now, if you don't know the connection between Miss McCabe and Kerry Roberts, they have become fast friends. Miss McCabe was the woman in the first trial, if you don't remember, who Googled house long to die in cold at 2:37 a.m. Miss McCabe was the one that got real pissed off because she was being asked, why did she delete that Google search, house long to die in cold? Miss McCabe is, I believe, a huge part of this big evil scandal of why Karen Reed is sitting in the defendant's chair. But what's crazy about this Kerry Roberts is she talks to Jen McCabe all the time. In fact, she just talked to her this morning. Miss McCabe, Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts are thick as thieves. It's giving a little bit like a Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Taylor Swift vibe, right? Why is she so smiley? Ashley Cartwright says, she wasn't smiley at all the entire time she was sitting up there. She was red. She was huffy puffy. She's smiling because she's like, I'm fucked. Because she knows she's going to walk out of there right now. And she's going to immediately be like, she had the worst time on the stand you could possibly have ever. She had the worst. She got caught as a liar on the stand. Do you know how bad that is? What's his name? Alan Jackson was like, you have lied. Now, this was the moment right before I started my show where Peggy O'Keefe, this is the mother of John O'Keefe, poor thing, lost her son, has to go through this trial two times. And she's being asked by prosecutor all kinds of questions. And then right before I started my show, Alan Jackson, the defense attorney, gets called to cross-examine her. And he goes like this.
Mrs. O'Keefe, I'm very, very sorry for your loss. I have no questions for you.
He doesn't ask her one question.
Mrs. O'Keefe, you're all set. Right, so what officer?
That is a class act. I thought that was a really, really smart move. It was a good move. She does not need to be asked all the questions. She got drilled by the prosecutor.
Just 2 clips, label 4 and 5.
And he said, I do not need to do that again to you. Poor thing. This woman has lost her son and has to go now to 2 trials. And also, if you watch the documentary and know the story, she's already lost her daughter and her son-in-law before this. Her 2 grandkids are now without a mother, a father, and now their uncle. I mean, it's just devastating. So I thought that really won Alan Jackson some good, heart moments. Can't wait to continue with this trial, you guys. It is good shit. It's good shit, but like, when am I going to work out? How am I going to continue to work out? I got to do both. I'm going to never work out without headphones. It's so good. Blair says it's unbelievably sad because John seemed like a truly, truly sweet guy. He really did. It's a very, very good, interesting story. Sad, but very good. Okay, we got to go on to more stories. I have so many stories for you guys. Before I do, I want to make sure that you guys know that this show is also brought to you by Mixtiles. What are Mixtiles, you guys? Mixtiles are peel and stick photos that seamlessly attach to any wall without leaving any damage. Using magnets, they can be adjusted and restuck multiple times. All you have to do is upload photos from your phone. So easy. There's an app. You can do it online, whatever, no problem. Design your tiles and choose from various sizes and styles. I did it on a plane. It's super, super easy to do it. You choose from various sizes and styles. By making the creation of photo walls that easy, Mixtiles empowers and inspires its customers to fill their spaces with what makes them smile. You can make them personal. You can share your authentic emotional story. You can make them beautiful, inspiring, white frames, black frames, no frames, canvases, like any sort of style, small, big, whatever. You can do the little ones. You can do them for your kids. And the best part is that it doesn't ruin your walls. No nailing in. It's removable, switchable. It's good for ADHD people like us that like to change it up all the time. It's really, really easy. I love it. So everyone, make sure to check out Mixtiles. The best part about it is that I have a discount code for you. So 35% off all orders above $139. So if you go to mixtiles.com/dailydose, that's mixtiles.com/dailydose, you will get 35% off all orders above $139. You can also go to Mixtiles on Instagram to check it out. And I love it. 35% off all orders above $139 using code DAILYDOSE. Thank you so much, Mixtiles. All right, we got to go to the next story. Should we do, you guys tell me right now, should we do Jon Hamm or Jax Taylor? Let's do Jon Hamm. This is a wild story. I don't even understand how the hell we can talk about this. This is such a deep dive. I know that you guys love Jon Hamm, and so do I. So this is upsetting. This is upsetting to me. Upsetting, but we've got to talk about like the reality of this. And so when I posted this in the Facebook group last night, and I did post it in the Facebook group, couple of the comments immediately were like, oh my gosh, we cannot cancel people for things that they did 20, 30 years ago. And I'm like, totally. But it's also about what did they do and how did they handle what they did? See, when I was in college, if I did something really, I'll tell you what I did really bad in college. You guys ready for this? I used a fake ID. When I was in college, I used a fake ID. And I bought $50 worth of alcohol on Halloween for my my like apartment, like all the people in my apartment. They all gave me money. I used my sister's fake ID, and I was 19, and I went to SOS Liquor in Santa Barbara and Isla Vista, and I was so freaking confident, and I went in there and I gave my ID and they sold me the liquor. And I walked out there with like my little 12-pack of beer or whatever and like a couple bottles of liquor or whatever. And I was like, yeah, baby, I got the alcohol. And I walk out and I'm walking towards my car. And then a cop is like, can I see your ID? And I'm like, shit. So that's what I did in college. Okay. What I didn't do in college was beat the shit out of someone for a Greek life thing. And I definitely did not do anything to the extent that Jon Hamm did. So there is an article that just came out on Daily Mail, and there's a podcast episode about it as well called The Nerve that goes into a deep dive. And this is not the first time that it has been exposed. So shockingly, this has been talked about before and kind of just like pushed to the side, because a lot of times with celebrities, like Blake Lively or Ryan Reynolds or people like this, we just want to kind of accept or not accept. We kind of want to believe that things like this don't exist. You know, when you really, really want to like someone, or you don't want to believe that people are bad because you really like people, you don't want to accept that bad things happen to them. You just want to pretend everything's fine. So you I don't know, you just kind of push it down. Like, no, they didn't really do that, right? If it's a bad person, you heighten the bad stories, right? For example, if someone that is like a typical unlikable person, I can't think off the top of my head who's someone that everyone always hates, like someone, a Kanye, like a problematic type of person, we'll all talk about it all the time. But if it's someone that's likable, you push it down all the time, right? So this is the story. It says the shocking hazing past of a beloved A-list actor resurfaces. Okay, so when Jon Hamm was at the University of Texas of Austin in 1990, he tormented, this is not even alleged, you guys, he tormented a young pledge in 1990, a young man by the name of Mark Sanders, who was hit so hard that he suffered a fractured spine and nearly lost a kidney. So in this episode of The Nerve and in this article, it talks about this. It talks about the fact that in this moment, basically, or in this experience, Jon Hamm and others, because he was part of this experience, he allegedly, I mean, I guess you say allegedly, even though he admits to it, inflicted on Sanders, including a brutal beating when the pledge forgot to address the actor by his nickname, MC Hammer. He marches these two little pledges upstairs where they meet two other frat boys with a paddle, she states. This isn't like a ping pong paddle. This is what the victim describes as a two-handed wooden paddle that was at least a foot long. So that's solid wood. They begin to beat him, he says, very hard, rearing back. These aren't love taps. He's on his right side. He's on his left side. Then at a given point, Jon Hamm, according to the transcript of this court order or this report, takes the paddle and the victim describes Jon Hamm rearing back and he hits me right over my right kidney. I mean, square over it. Good solid hit. And that stood me up. The alleged ordeal did not end there. Mark Sanders, this man, described how his underwear was aggressively wrenched from inside his trousers as a part of sawing, is what it called. This is what he said. The more they pulled, the way they were pulling was one would be pulling up. They were pulling like it was sawing and it was hurting. It hurt. He doesn't even know how long they continued doing that. Hamm was described as an officer of the fraternity and said Mark Sanders, the victim, recalls him being with him all night, including when Mark Sanders was forced into a dirty, confined space called the pit. Mark Sanders, this is what Mark Sanders looked like at the time. This was around when he was, 19 years old. This was the victim, okay? Very sad to think about. I'm sorry, I don't know. This broke my heart to read this article. In the pit, he was forced to do these push-ups constantly. Currently, at the moment, he said his kidney is so damaged that he can barely breathe, and now he has to do these push-ups. She then describes, the podcast host, Maureen, is describing how then Jon Hamm allegedly takes out a lighter and torches the belt loop of the pledge's jeans, which then caught fire. Mark Sanders, in his complaint at the time, described trying to put out the fire with his bare hands. He knocked my hand away. I was kind of panicking because I was wearing a cotton t-shirt. I tried to put it out with my hands and Jon Hamm wouldn't let me. He made me blow it out with my mouth. Jon Hamm is then accused of taking out a claw hammer, hooking it under Mark Sanders' genitals, and dragging him around the room by his privates for about a solid minute. Sanders withdrew from the university, of course, and sought counseling to cope with the shameful episode. It resulted in a police inquiry and the fraternity chapter being disbanded. So yes, he did go to the police and the fraternity chapter was disbanded because of this, guys. Jon Hamm was just a sophomore at the time. And he was identified as a ringleader and he was arrested in 1993. So he was charged with this long before he became one of America's most recognizable actors, playing Don Draper on Mad Men. You guys know him as this guy. Also Andy Cohen's bestie. Isn't it funny Andy Cohen's always involved with this shit? It's always funny, right? Andy Cohen's besties. All good guys. An assault charge was dismissed, and he completed a period of probation instead of receiving a conviction for hazing. In this podcast interview, and I'm going to show you a little piece of it, she talks about how he's interviewed, how a bunch of these famous friends are just protecting each other constantly, okay? In this podcast, she talks about the fact that in the new Interview magazine, he's interviewed by his good friend Tina Fey, in which they basically tongue bathe each other. How they just kind of all talk about how amazing they all are, how Tina Fey, Kristen Wiig, they just all are obsessed with each other. They talk about each other, how they're just amazing. Well, she says, my theory about them is that they were never the homecoming queens. They were the comedy nerd girls who kind of didn't fit in. And a guy like Jon Hamm comes along and pays them some attention and their knees buckle. They can't believe it. They can't believe a guy this hot would look twice at them. And so they're doing dirty work for him, in my opinion, she said. She also goes on and talks about the fact that, and this is a crazy story too, she really dogs Jon Hamm in this episode, by the way. I'll let you guys see it for yourself if you want to. But she also talks about this crazy story about Jon Hamm and his girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Westfeldt. Now, I don't know if you guys know about Jennifer Westfeldt. I love her as an actress. She is an amazing actress, and she was a writer as well. And she actually wrote a great movie about their relationship. They had a really long relationship. They were together 10, 15 years, and they were very big on never wanting to have kids. And that was like their big thing. And she talks about the fact that he stayed with her for so many years, like through her childbearing years. And then after Mad Men and after him becoming like really, really popular and famous, he breaks up with her, then starts dating and eventually marrying this like young actress that was in the season finale of Mad Men in the final episode. And now she's young, this woman. He's married to her, and now he's talking about how he wants to have kids with her. And Jennifer Westfeldt is like 50 years old, and she went through her entire like child rearing years. Who knows if she did or didn't want to have kids? Maybe that was her choice, but it's just interesting. The whole thing is very interesting. You know, this is Jon Hamm now with his new wife. It's an honestly interesting tell. Now Mark Sanders, the man that he abused, I'll share with you guys a little bit about where he stands now. And this is from Maureen's podcast. And like I said, I don't know a lot about her or the story, but anything, but I just know that I'm very, very invested in this story, and I couldn't believe it. I had never ever heard anything about this story before, and Jon Hamm has actually talked about it, believe it or not. He was asked about this in an Esquire magazine in 2015. You guys want to know what he said about it in an Esquire magazine? He said, "Yeah, it was kind of a bummer that it happened." That was his answer. That's what he said about it in 2015. He said it was kind of a bummer that it happened. So that's how he feels about it. He doesn't want to talk about it. He says it was kind of a bummer. Now, this is the response from what happened and where Mark is. Hold on.
And he starts giving interviews about how he thinks he wants children now, which I'm sure Jennifer Westfeldt is so happy she sacrificed so much of her own dreams and life ambitions for that piece of shit. And finally, in fairness to Jon Hamm, which I think is more than he deserves, he did address these accusations, this reporting of the fraternity hazing that nearly killed a kid, by the way, who went on to become a doctor and a lawyer. Okay. And he specializes in, what do you think? Medical malpractice. Okay. That guy is a true contributing member of society. What did Jon Hamm become? A celebrity? Are you fucking kidding me? Jon Hamm told Esquire in, I think, 2015, of the allegations, quote, "I wouldn't say it's accurate. Everything about that is sensationalized, not a denial. I was accused of these things I don't, ellipses. It's so hard to get into. I don't want to give it any more breath. Not a denial. It was a bummer of a thing that happened." Break that apart. A bummer. A bummer is like you go to the surf shop and they're out of your favorite, oil or whatever. This is not a bummer. This is not a summer bummer. This is a vicious assault on a defenseless kid. You bullied him because he wanted to be cool like you. A bummer of a thing that happened. It didn't happen, Jon. You did it. You assaulted somebody. I was caught up. He continues. I was caught up. Poor me. I, me. I was caught up in a big situation, a stupid kid in a stupid situation, a bummer. I moved on from it. Well, I don't think that Mark Allen Sanders will probably ever move on from it.
Right? I mean, I love this woman. I don't know a lot about her, but I love her. I'm like, I love that she's not scared to call this out. Now, another thing she calls out is Hollywood. I think you guys are going to love this because, my big thing is calling out Hollywood, especially this year. Check it out and what she talks about here.
And so they're doing dirty work for him. In my opinion, you can't tell me they don't know about this. If I know about it, they have to know about it. And now we all know about it. There's another thing I want to touch on, and this goes to who in Hollywood is a protected class, who in Hollywood will be summarily kicked out and never hired again, and who is just sort of considered like kind of a bad boy. This is also the New York Times Magazine very recently. Bill Murray, who's out promoting a movie with Naomi Watts called The Friend. It's based on an incredible book by an author named Sigrid Nunez. If you've never heard of it, I suggest you look into it. It's basically a semi-autobiographical novel. A friend of hers died and left her his dog. And it's this very unusual, non-cliched, non-sentimental, really beautiful love story. And so Bill Murray was promoting this movie with Naomi Watts on Watch What Happens Live like a week or so ago. I watched it in real time. My jaw hit the floor. Look at this.
Hi, Naomi. So my question is, what has been the best on-screen kiss of your career?
I mean,
Oh,
What the fuck?
So I watched that broadcast of Watch What Happens Live in real time. And I am convinced that Bravo and NBC Universal went in and cleaned that clip up, because I distinctly recall a wide shot in which I saw Bill Murray take an unwitting, unsuspecting Naomi Watts. He put one hand on top of her head, he put the other hand under her jaw, and he kept her head immobile, and he dragged her over to him and planted a kiss square on her mouth, and it was lengthy. It lasted for quite a bit. And what did Andy Cohen do? He sat there and he laughed. He laughed. He thought it was funny. And when Bill Murray finally released Naomi Watts, you could tell she was kind of in shock. And, she's got to play the game, right? Bill Murray looks straight at the camera and gives it a thumbs up. A thumbs up. This New York Times Magazine piece, by the way, I mean, where did I mark it? He talks about
Versus New York
basically, like,
Times.
kind of being an asshole, and like he's had assault accusations leveled at him before. He's not a guy you want to get angry. So, but he gets away with this. Like, everybody gives him back. Why? Because like Bill Murray's cool, because he's funny, because he's kind of like irascible. He gets a pass for this. If I'm Naomi Watts, I would never work with him again, and I would maybe consider pressing charges. I don't know.
Listen, you guys, I've given up on trying to protect anything in this business anymore. You guys, I've lived literally like, I think it's so disgusting. Now, what's crazy about this, watch, because a lot of you guys are saying that Maureen works with Megyn Kelly a lot. Watch, hand to God, watch what happens. Watch what happens live. I will get more negative comments on this video about the fact that I have been showing someone that is aligned with Megyn Kelly than the fact that I am showing someone who is calling out a sexual predator, gross, Bill Murray, and a bully. Like, more people will call me out for how dare you post someone that aligns with Megyn Kelly. I guarantee you that's the sickness in this world. I will guarantee you that's what the comments will be. More of that than the actual damage of what she is exposing. So just you wait. That's the craziest part of the world out there. And that's why people don't want to call out Hollywood, because people are so scared to, like, look who calls out Hollywood. That's what happens. And the only people that don't call out Hollywood are the Andy Cohens of the world. And the good people that want to stay on those sides. And so if you don't call that out, if you want to like go against that, you're immediately labeled as the other. And that's why I constantly get labeled as everything else. That's how this works. Good morning, friends and haters. Welcome to Daily Dose of Donna, where I don't give a shit. Well, the show. Thanks for subscribing, by the way. If you guys are okay with just hearing unpopular opinions, just my opinion, that's how it works. Welcome to okay. Where are we at in terms of stories? Because we have so many. We have to get into the Bravo of the story. Oh, and tomorrow, because I don't think we'll have time, we do have a new Golden Bachelor. His name is Mel Owens, but I have already heard that Mel Owens our new Golden Bachelor has a sordid past. Oh my God. Can we not get a new Golden Bachelor that is actually just like clean of some bad history? Remember Golden Bachelor Gary? Golden Bachelor Mel Owens already has some bad shit. He hasn't even done the damn show. And he has some bad stuff in the past. Just wait. But we got to get into Jax. You guys, this shit is bad. It's bad. Last night's episode of The Valley made me want to die. I tried to show Lance 5 minutes of the episode, just of where Jax and Brittany start having their fight. And he said, I can't watch it, Donna. I can't watch it. And I said, why? And he's like, I can't watch it. It was the moment when Jax comes home and Brittany is with Cruz, her son, who is just now openly, she announced that he is on the spectrum, that he has autism. We've kind of all suspected it, but now she announced it. I'm so glad she announced it before the episode started airing, because now we don't have to speculate anymore. And he truly, oh my God, it's almost like could make you cry. Lance is like, I can't watch it. It's too devastating to watch, Lance said. There is a moment in this episode that is so telling. Jax Taylor, we have to talk about if we can even get through this season of The Valley. So The Valley is supposed to be like reality. And when you think about like reality shows on Bravo, it still gives you like, oh, let's like lay back and like get yourself some popcorn and a snack and a drink and like watch reality TV. And we always joke about like, yeah, we love watching Real Housewives because it's like toxic fighting and it's fun to watch like your girlfriends fight. But this felt so dark. When I tell you, I'm like, I don't know if I can go through this because it feels like my childhood trauma is coming back. Like it feels like, I don't know, it gives me major anxiety because Brittany and Jax and Jesse and Michelle, they're going through such horrible divorces. And if you're a child of divorce, or if you're going through divorce, or if you're struggling right now with a current addiction, or a spouse that has addiction, or a parent with addiction, like you guys, I don't think they should have trigger warnings or something. It is not healthy TV in any capacity. In any capacity. Jax Taylor, this is being filmed a year ago. That's what he says. I don't know exactly when it's being filmed. No, it's not. I think it's being filmed at the beginning of this year. Actually, I don't know when it's being filmed. It's hot. It's summertime. So it's at the end of the summer, okay? At this point, we know that Brittany has moved out and she's now in an Airbnb with her son, Cruz. You see Brittany alone with her son, Cruz, in the beginning of the episode in the Airbnb. We know that Jax is falling the fuck apart. We don't really know specifically what's going on, but Kristen Doty goes to visit Jax and it's a mess. Not a mess in the house, but it's a mess because he's like aggro, like he's walking around, his hat is on, he's like stressed out. And Kristen is like, dude, you're at rock bottom. You are not allowed to be with Cruz alone. You threw a chair, you threw a table. You are not okay. You are not okay right now. You need to figure your shit out. You need help. And he's like, yeah, I'm pissed off. What about me though? What about me? She did this to me. Kristen, who's become the voice of sanity, which is crazy, is like, you don't understand what you're doing to her. She calls me every day crying. You threw a table at her. She has the bruise. You scared her. Think about your son, you dumbass. Like I added that, but yeah, you dumbass. He's like, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. But you know he's not taking any of that in. He has a FaceTime with his sister who doesn't live in LA, but he has a FaceTime with his sister and she's like, you need help, Jax. He's like, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. Yeah, I do. Jason and Danny Bucco, who, nice guys, but like, come on. I'm sorry. Jason and Danny Bucco have no idea what's going on. I'm sorry. They seem nice, but like, they're not. Danny Bucco kind of bugs me in this season. Danny and Nia both kind of bug me. They feel kind of like flighty and all over the place. But Danny's like, hey, Jax, it's time to go to rehab. Yuck. Come on, Jax. Like, it doesn't feel like he is taking anything seriously. Yuck, 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 yuck. And then Jason is like, Jax, it's time we go to rehab. Like, it doesn't feel like they're even real friends. So it feels very forced. And Jax is like, yeah, guys, I really think it's time. I gotta get help. I gotta get help. I'm gonna have a conversation right now with the mental health guy. It's very staged. The mental health guy calls and you hear him kind of through the phone. He's like, Jason, is this you? Okay, I'm calling from the mental health place. Are you ready to talk about getting mental health? Jax is like, how much is it gonna cost? The guy's like, it's $30,000 for 30 days. Jax is like, oh man. And if I stay there for just a few of the days, do I have to pay all that money? And he's like, yeah, but let me tell you, you got to stay for 30 days because staying for 30 days is really what's going to help you. He's like, okay. Man, 30 days is just so much. It was very strange. Now, the cruise of it all. We go to Brittany's Airbnb. We see her Airbnb for the first time. Lego Zach, which is a whole other side story with his boyfriend, that was like a little confusing. It's almost like they have to give him a storyline, but it felt a little like random and throwaway. Danny says it sounded like he was talking to an AI voice. It really did. He was like, hello, I am here from the mental health ward. So Cruz is over with Brittany and Lego Zach goes over to Brittany's house and brings over, Chinese food for lunch or something. And this is very, very telling. I wonder if I can pull it up and not put the sound on. Let me see if I can do it while we're talking. Because I want to show you what Cruz does when he sees Zach. Now, Zach comes in and, okay, how do I get volume down? Yeah, okay. When he sees, yes, there we go. Okay. When he sees Zach, who is not his dad, who is not his family member, remember, Cruz is nonverbal. I believe he's 3 years old, 2 or 3 years old. I can't remember. He's nonverbal, but he is not, and Zach is not his uncle. He's not his dad. He's not his family member. And apparently, according to Brittany and Zach, they've had like a little bit of a wedge between them. So maybe they're not even spending that much time together right now. But this is how Cruz sees Zach and shows him a little bit of, like attention or whatever. I'm going to keep it on mute because I can't. Now, later on in the episode and during that part, she and Zach have a conversation and there's a whole side conversation or a side story between Janet, which Borsnor, I can't get into Janet. I'm sorry. Janet to me is the version of, how would you describe Janet on the Valley? Like Vanilla is more interesting than Janet. I'm sorry. I find Janet to be absolutely the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life. I just can't get into Janet. Annoying, boring, all the things. Like, blah. Blah. And Michelle and Jesse, and I'll just get into them because I want to end on the Jax and Brittany story. Michelle and Jesse also have a very triggering relationship because they're not divorced. They're going through mediation and they're trying to co-parent without help of anyone. Jesse is very gaslighting to Michelle. He's very tough to deal with. But Michelle is also very difficult too because she did cheat on Jesse and she did end the marriage with Jesse. And Jesse genuinely feels like he wants to be close with his daughter. And I do feel like Jesse is trying to be a good dad to his daughter. It's very different than Jax. I struggle watching the two of them as well. So between the two really, really bad relationships, and then these really annoying characters like Nia and Danny and Janet, and then you have Kristen, who's like, okay, she's fine to watch. Like, I don't know. I like the show, but it makes me hard. It's hard to see. Now, Jackie says the backstory of Janet is telling because Janet was a fangirl. She's just a fan of Vanderpump Rules and Sheena. That's what everyone's always saying. That's what everyone is always saying. So this is also very telling. Now, I want to cut to a little bit because later on, Brittany then eventually finds out that Jax, I guess, is going over to rehab, or not rehab, this mental health place. And then she decides that she has to go and, I guess, let Jax say goodbye to Cruz. And she wants to have this last conversation with Cruz. Last conversation with Jax before he goes away and gets picked up by his friend Jason for 30 days. Now, this is right after she finds out that Jax has been sleeping with girl after girl after girl after girl. This guy is fucking everything that walks. And remember, this was around the time when he was publicly walking around. You guys remember this? When he was walking around here in the Valley all the time with that girl, Paige, with her big boobs, and he was putting his arm around her, and we were all talking about it all the time. He was showing up with her at all his bars and whatever. And there were so many different people like this all the time. So she has a right to be like grossed out by him. Now she goes to her home that she also pays for, that she's now not living in because she doesn't want to live with this scary ass, disgusting Jax. She walks into her own home where she's finding thongs. She's finding all these disgusting things. He's blocking the cameras with cards. So she has no access to see who's in and out of the house. She opens the fridge. She's with her own son. She opens the fridge. She sees a cup that has lipstick on it in the fridge. Like, so, I mean, I feel sick for her that she has to see this. She's sitting there with Cruz, waiting for him to come home. He comes home. And this is how her son, his son, sees his own dad. Versus what you just saw of how he saw Zach, essentially a friend. And this to me is the ultimate tell of how he feels about his own dad, because I'm convinced he is really, really, really awful. Awful, awful to watch. It's not a good look at all. He's scared. He's scared of his dad. And that's because his dad had these rage fits and screamed and yelled and would throw shit around the house. And he did it under the guise of, well, Cruz wasn't in the room. Cruz was upstairs. And they have this thing. And I believe that Brittany also, I hope she's a little better now, but there was a couple scenes before where she and Zach were in the pool. Their feet were in the pool, and Cruz was in the pool swimming around and kind of just like treading and playing around right in front of them. And he doesn't speak. And I worry that because he doesn't speak, they don't think he can understand them, because they're talking about Jax. Even Brittany and Zach are talking about Jax in such a disgusting way. They're talking about tits. They're talking about boobs. They're talking about body. They're talking about sex. They're talking about drugs. And Cruz is right there. And in the last episode, Brittany and Michelle are talking about the divorce, and they're talking about drugs, and they're talking about boobs, and they're talking about sex, and they're talking about marriage and divorce. And Cruz is right there. And I think what's happening is when your baby doesn't talk, you maybe forget that your kid is still of age, that they can understand. And I don't want to speak out of turn on that. Maybe you guys can help me speak for that. And I worry that you still maybe think that they are not comprehending as much because they are not verbal, but they're so comprehensive, even if they're nonverbal. Right? I am so worried for Cruz. And I really hope Brittany is keeping him really safe. But like, it worried me when I saw Brittany and Zach talking so openly right in front of him. It was really bad. You guys, it was really bad. Now the scene progresses even worse, because right after that, thank God Zuli, the nanny, was there. And Brittany's like, Zuli, take Cruz to the park. And she left. She takes Cruz out of there. And honestly, thank God cameramen were there, because Jax was, poor Zach Peter just caught a stray. Jax Taylor was fucking crazy in this scene. He's losing his mind. He's like, oh, you're going to go F Julian? He's obsessed. He is one track minded in this entire scene about Jax, about the fact that she was flirty or hooking up or sending, boob pictures or whatever to this guy that Jax kind of was friendly with for a few years, not close with, but friendly with. That's all he cares about. Not the fact that he was just effing a girl in their house the day before. All he cares about the fact is that she was doing this one time with a guy. He is so disgusting and so upsetting to watch. She calls him out for his cocaine. She calls him out for his addiction on camera. She calls him out for everything. He yells at her. He says, you don't pay for anything in this house. She's like, I pay for all the bills. I paid for property taxes. I paid for half the down payment in this house. I imagine that's their setup, that he pays all the mortgage and she pays the bills. A lot of homes do that, right? Like Lance and I do everything half-half. Like we put all our money together for the home and then we pay out of that account. But a lot of families do that, right? Where one partner pays the mortgage and one partner pays the utilities. She pays all the property taxes. You guys, property taxes in Los Angeles are psychotically expensive. If they have a $2 million house, their property taxes are probably $25,000 a year. That's a lot of money. Plus utilities, she pays a lot of money. Fuck him. I'm so disgusted with him. And he's going on. And he's like, you ruined my life, he says to her in front of the kid, in front of Zuli, he said. Zuli, the nanny. You guys, it like raged me so much that I didn't know what to do. And I found myself getting so agitated and so stressed. And I was like, oh, because I'm a kid of divorce, because I grew up around this, because I grew up sitting and like hiding in my room when my dad would come over to pick us up. And then my mom and him would get into huge fights screaming about like, you're not allowed to see them anymore. You're not going to be allowed to see them. And I won't give you any more money and whatever. And I would sit huddled with my sister in the corner, screaming and crying and shaking and begging and hoping everything was going to be okay. What the fuck? I don't want to see this on my TV. Why is he allowed to be on TV? If a woman treated a man this way, would we all be like, okay with it? This is not okay, Bravo. Sorry. I'm sorry. Like at some point, it needs to be called out. Andy Cohen, like stop allowing, he's not part of Bravo anymore. But I imagine, is he a producer on The Valley? I don't know. Alex Baskin, stop lifting this man up. If you Google Jax Taylor, which I did this morning to find a picture for my thumbnail, everything on Google is like, Jax Taylor's working on himself. Jax Taylor is doing such an amazing job. Fuck you. Jax Taylor is a piece of shit. 2 weeks ago, he's standing there on the red carpet saying like, I'm going to be selfish right now. I despise this man. I don't know if I can continue. Like, obviously it does something to me. It's very upsetting. And I don't think you can understand it unless you've gone through it yourself, unless you were either a child of divorce or you've actually been through like a toxic divorce like this, like a very, very, it's very hard to watch. And then to find out that he's calling her fat on the side, like in the what's it called? In the after show, apparently he's calling her fat. They're all talking about it. Let's see if I can pull that up without getting docked. But apparently they are all talking about the fact that he calls her fat, and that's like a thing. It's just okay. And she laughs so much, that Brittany. All she does is laugh. I mean, I guess what else are you gonna do if you can't, I guess you just laugh it off. I don't know. I can't. I don't know, you guys. It's really hard for me to watch. I don't know if I can. I just don't like protecting him, or not protecting him. I don't like supporting him by watching the show. Do you know what I mean? It's really hard, but that's how I feel about it. And all the guys just like supporting him, like, I don't know. But that's how I feel about that. Another person, and we'll leave it at that because Summer House is on tonight. I'll drop after this one TikTok about Kyle Cooke. The last person that I'll say who is an incredibly horrible, just because we were only talking about horrible people today. And for those of you that think I hate women only, which is not the case, let's talk about it. Kyle Cooke. Man, oh man. Kyle Cooke is a cheater. I'm convinced of it. It never ends.
I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I guess some things never change because Kyle Cooke allegedly had a little too much fun at Coachella last weekend. So Kyle was in Indio this past weekend for Coachella, DJing some events. Now, he was not a part of the official Coachella Music Festival. He's definitely not to that level yet, but he was invited to DJ some of the events outside of the actual festival throughout the city. It does not appear that Amanda went with him because I only saw a few photos, but the photos that I did see were of Kyle solo. Sierra and Jesse were also there, so I would assume I would have seen a photo of Amanda with them if she was there. So I'm pretty sure that Kyle was flying solo, and this blind definitely proves that because it seems like he had a little too much fun and caused a scene at the hotel he was staying at. The blind reads, keeping this somewhat anonymous, but I have a friend who works in PR and her job sent her to Coachella to manage a few reality TV personalities and influencers. One of them was Kyle, and apparently he got completely lost. No one could find him. He ended up stumbling back to the hotel at 3 a.m., totally hammered, had lost his room key, and was causing such a scene in the lobby that they made him crash in one of the PR girls' rooms just to avoid the drama. Absolutely wild. Kyle Cooke, you are in your 40s. Why are you still doing this? Especially when it is a work trip. You are not just attending the festival. You are there to work and DJ and entertain people. But you are out until 3, 4, 5 a.m. partying when you probably have to work the next day. Really want to know what Amanda thinks of this. Again, this is all alleged. This is just a blind.
Many people said he was climbing into another girl's room at 3 a.m. at Coachella. Yeah. That doesn't fly. I'm sorry, you guys. Kyle Cooke cheats on his wife. I don't even know if I need to say alleged anymore. How many women's rooms do you have to go in and out of? I'm sorry. That doesn't happen. Like, it just doesn't happen. What? What's going on there? Otter's got the best. You have a very good heart. Doesn't mean he cheated. You're right. It doesn't. It doesn't mean he cheated. It also doesn't mean that, he didn't. I just think that, like, put Jax, Kyle Cooke, and I guess Jon Hamm on an island and just send them far, far away. I would Lorena Bobbitt, my husband, Emily says. Well, don't do that because then you're going to be like on trial, like Karen Reed. I don't want to have to talk about you on trial. Don't do that. Oh my God. Okay, you guys, I appreciate everyone being here. Thank you so much for being here on Daily Dose of Lorena Bobbitt. Just kidding. I hope everyone's having an amazing Wednesday. Wow. Don't you feel dirty after today's episode after talking about such scum? Scum. Tomorrow we'll have hopefully some better, happier stories, but this is a fun one to feel better about your own life. Just feel better about your own life. All things are better. We got some good stories here about this is a rumor about Jon Hamm. He's relapsed alcohol, cheating like crazy on the young new wife. He's a mean, angry drunk. This is a rumor about Jon Hamm, is what I've been told from credible sources in the Dallas area, West Texas area, and a private event in Hillco. Cat says, well, that was a depressing episode. Thanks, Donna. Always here to depress ya. Okay, we're going to end with a happy story. I'm going to end you guys with a happy story. I have such a good happy story. I got to find one. I have such a good happy story, you guys. Well, that's your daily dose of Donna. I always have happy stories for you, but not today. Love you guys. The deal. That's a great idea, Leslie. That's such a good idea. Stay. I have a great story to end it with. Oh my God, such a good story to end this with, you guys. You're going to be so happy with the story. The Boston Marathon. The Boston Marathon. That was such a good move. Okay. The Boston Marathon happened on Monday, Easter Monday. Who knew? And I think, or was it Sunday? And you know, people fly in from all around the world for the Boston Marathon. It's the longest running marathon ever. And someone who was just so close to the end, like within feet, yards from the end of the marathon, and they were running to get it under 2 hours and 40 minutes. If you can only imagine how fast you were running, right? And this man collapses, like his body just spasms out. He cannot stand up. No one is helping this man up because people are so intent on getting their time. They worked and trained for years and years and years and years to get to this marathon and to get their time. It costs a lot of money to enter. It's very hard to get in. And then this amazing man decides to come to help. And this is what happens. This is a great way to end it. Thank you so much for doing this, for reminding me of this. Oh, I guess I should show it to you. Wouldn't that be good if I just like didn't show it to you the whole time? I was just watching it crying my whole time and you guys just see my face. Hold on. I really don't. I want to show you the music, but I hope it doesn't dock me, but maybe I'll just mute it here and there. Hold on. Here we go. It says after 26.2 miles, and then a man named Pedro Arrieta. Come up. And it says, nobody is going to remember your marathon time, but now we know the name Pedro Arrieta. I can't get enough. Stories like that, like literally take me out. This guy worked so hard to get to that moment, and all these other runners ran past him, but he was like, I've got to stop and help it. I'm sorry. That kind of shit takes me out. Thank you so much for reminding me to play that. That's everything to me. Oh my God. Forget it. Okay. Jon Hamm would never. Jon Hamm would probably kick him down. Yay, Pedro Arrieta. And he's wonderful. Pedro Arrieta. I was following him. I started sharing his stuff. He is here. He is on Instagram. He's wonderful. He doesn't speak English. He is so nice. This is him. That's him and his, I believe it's his girlfriend or his wife talking. Guys, I don't know where they're from. Is it Spain? I don't know where they're from, but they're wonderful. Wonderful. Tiffany says, Donna, your emotions remind me of myself. Are you a Gemini? Proud Gemini, June 11th. Chris says, I wasn't crying the whole hour. This was supposed to be better. Brazil. Thank you. It's Brazil. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I made you cry at the end, but it's happy tears. I love him. I love Pedro. Oh my God, Tiffany, we have the same birthday. Happy birthday, June 11th. And your dad's birthday is June 11th. I love you guys. Let's just hang out all day. I'm not going anywhere. No, I have to go watch Karen read. Okay, bye, you guys. I love you. Thanks for being here. Bye.